So, hopefully we're working here. Microphone working. Hopefully it is. Maybe I can test the mic. No, it's not going to work if I do that. Yeah, whatever. So, Ashley Babbitt, say her name. According to San Diego News, which I just watched. San Diego local news. She was from the area, and she's a 14-year veteran of the Air Force. And, she was shot today. She was part of the mob that was storming the Congress. And it should be noted that at one time the public was allowed up into the viewing area, but because, you know, supposedly because of COVID, they weren't allowed up there. So people acting like it's absurd that they would want to be able to have access. It's not absurd. And I see a lot of hullabaloo about, I see people throwing around the word atrocity. And the only person killed was a Trump supporter and a veteran and a woman. And can we point out she was unarmed? As far as I know, she was unarmed. And I kind of expected them not to do much, and they didn't really do much but break windows. Weren't we lectured all year about how breaking windows is just property and property can be replaced? Weren't we lectured about that all year? Well, Ashley Babbitt won't be replaced. She's dead. She was unarmed. She was shot. Aren't we supposed to be outraged by that? But I see Congress people patting each other on the back, lamenting their terrible ordeal. And they're all shook up. They're reeling from it still. Reeling from what? They're not dead. She is. The news media, as you can imagine, is reporting it as if they are the victims. Imagine if she was a BLM supporter on the street, and she was storming one of the Capitol, governor's place or a Capitol building or something in another city, which was allowed in other cities, and they shot her. All hell would break loose, and it would be called the crime of the, horrible injustice and all this. But all I'm seeing from the media is, we're supposed to be tearing our hair out and lamenting how terrible it was that some windows were broken and a bunch of unwashed masses walked into the hallowed halls. And the truth is, it looked they didn't do much. They kind of walked around, and then one woman was shot. They shot her, a Trump supporter and a veteran, 14-year veteran. And then now I can see, I couldn't stand it any longer. I watched a little bit of the Congress that came back, and they, are reeling and lamenting how terrible it is, and, calling it a terrorist attack. The only person dead is a Trump supporter! Anyway, and of course, you wonder who exactly were these people that went in. Who are the people that broke the windows? Who's the guy with the Viking outfit. I noticed he had a tattoo. Some people mentioned Antifa tattoos, but the tattoo I saw on the guy with the buffalo head, that was a squiggle inside a squiggle. And isn't that a pedo symbol? Of course, some people are going, oh yeah, that's because that's the Trump supporters for you. Oh, brother. And so some people are saying they saw Antifa tattoos, all this. The guy I saw sitting in the Senate leader chair there, he didn't look like a normal MAGA supporter or, middle class. He looked kind of Antifa, but who knows? But this I know, that Tim Pool posted a video, which I wonder. I mean, in my opinion, just watching the whole thing, I admit at first I'm kind of like, oh, they're storming the Bastille. Good for them. I kind of thought that. And I thought, their sheer will is breaking through and the police don't dare do anything because they're torn morally. I did kind of think that at first. I thought, oh wow, these guys, they got in, they just kept pushing and we did it. And then I thought, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. It just occurred to me, just watching it and thinking, and I saw some scenes of, I'm like, wait a minute. They, obviously the police didn't try that hard to stop them, right? And of course, the media is going to take advantage of that too, and spin that, and so that becomes, oh, they're being nicer to the white Trump supporters. And all this, But I thought, the bottom line is, if they wanted to keep them out, they could have. And then I thought, wait a minute. Did they let them in on purpose? I'm like, of course. I mean, this is all benefiting them. Now you got Kelly Loeffler. She's like, well, I was going to vote for objecting to the, electoral stuff, but now I've changed my mind because I'm so reeling from this. Oh. Again, the only person dead is a Trump supporter. Anyway, so she's like, I changed my mind. Okay, so there you go. So who's this benefiting? It's obviously benefiting them. They're gonna take full advantage of it. But I don't know. Other than just thinking, I mean, I think if they really wanted to, they could have prevented this. Did they prepare for it? Just that alone. This whole thing. Basically, bottom line, I'm saying it's kind of some kind of a false flag, so to speak. I mean, it's going to benefit the establishment in D.C., the swamp, whatever, etc. All of them. And they're obviously taking advantage of it. And, yeah. I mean, but, I'm just kind of guessing. I don't have firm evidence for this until I saw the video. And I just watched a video. Supposedly Tim Pool posted it. He's a radio show in Florida. He showed it. And it appeared that the police absolutely waved them in on purpose. There's a video of it. Now, was that video taken out of context? What I saw already, to me, looked like the police weren't really trying. They allowed them to go in. Most of them didn't do anything other than break some windows, as far as I could tell. And the only person who was killed was one of them, a Trump supporter, a woman, 14-year veteran, wife, dead. I noticed the media isn't saying much about her. Say her name, Ashley Babbitt. Let's hear it. So who does this benefit? Yeah, it looks to me like they did it. They allowed it to happen. They knew it could happen. They knew if they opened the doors and they, pulled back the security in a weak spot, that some goobers and some people, caught up in the fervor would join in. I'm sure there was, it only takes a few leaders. It only takes a few people to get it going. And there could be some instigators, agitators, etc. But again, I mean, they just broke some windows. Is this just stuff that can be replaced, right? Isn't that what they told us? And the only person who was hurt, from what I can tell, is a woman was killed, one of the Trump supporters. Or according to her husband, was a big Trump supporter. And yeah, they're not supposed to go in there, but it wasn't always that way. Many years ago, you could walk into the White House and say hi to President Lincoln many years ago. And used to be able to walk up the Capitol steps right from the public, I think, up until 9/11. So it's not unprecedented that you could walk in there. They walked in. I didn't see anybody set any fires or anything. Maybe somebody might have, but nope, not that I saw. And I didn't see any graffiti. It was stupid, but to call it terrorism is a stretch when the only person killed was one of them. Right? Terrorism? Yeah, I mean, in the context of where we are today, it's going to be called terrorism after 9/11. But, you know, in the pre-9/11 world that I remember, because I lived in it, I'm old enough to remember, this might not have been called terrorism. It wouldn't have. Because they didn't kill anybody. I didn't see any guns brandished either. But now, all you have to do is just get people's personal space, and now that's terrorism. Again, the only person hurt was a veteran Trump supporter. You know. And if anyone says, oh, she shouldn't have done that, she shouldn't have been part of that, you could say the same thing about a million different shootings with police and teenagers that happen, but we're not allowed to say that. You know, those are, even though in most courts, you know, the cops are often exonerated, and it's found that the person that they shot was at fault, was a threat, and was threatening people, and not always, but a lot of times, a lot of the cases that the media purposely brought forward that they knew were not good cases. And there are cases of stuff like that. What I was following before all this years ago was SWAT teams. It's still SWAT teams. I mean, Breonna Taylor was a SWAT team, right? It's still SWAT teams. SWAT teams are the most obvious breach of the Constitution because you have somebody breaking into someone's house. And it's not I don't blame the cops. I mean, the cops are just doing what they're told. It's the legislature, it's the mayor, it's the people at the top that are allowing these things to happen, where they go in and they get the wrong apartment and they shoot somebody that has nothing to do with it. The whole thing just stinks. There's nothing. It's very un-American. SWAT teams. I understand why they happen. We have problems with crime and drugs and all this, but a lot of that is what I was following. I was following a lot of mistakes with SWAT teams killing people that they shouldn't have, going into the wrong homes. This was years ago, just around the time there was that video of that nurse, and then suddenly the media started talking about these examples that I just don't think they're not good examples, and they got us worked up on purpose to divide and conquer us. You know, people who are in the cities probably experience some better examples of police misconduct, but the ones they presented to middle America on television were bullshit. 90% of it. And then it was on purpose. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more or less on purpose. It's to get us, on their side, and to get us to stop examining some of the more legit issues. Anyway, that's a whole sidelight, but again, Ashley Babbitt, say her name. She's a 14-year veteran, supposedly, according to San Diego News, a news station. And then the other big thing is this video I see on YouTube of it looked like today, looked like the same weather we have today. It looked like DC, and it looked like the same people that were there waving in the supporters, waving in the protesters into the Capitol building on purpose. And just what I saw, even without seeing that video, what I saw, enough of it to think logically, it all benefits the left, the whole thing. You know, oh, look at the unruly mobs, which is true. Unruly mobs suck. But the whole fiasco, and then they come right back, and they finally come back into session, and then you got Kelly Loeffler's like, oh, I'm not going to support this. That doesn't make any sense, because it's like, if it's right, it's right. You know, if she thought there was some problem with the election, why would the unruly mob change it? You know, it sucks. So now anybody who questions the vote is now part of the unruly mob. Great. That's great. Very nice. And it seems like the whole media is just absolutely falling into line. There's hardly anyone. I mean, supposedly, like, you know, even I don't even watch Newsmax. I don't care. I mean, you know, they're kind of emasculated, and you know, people are starting to move on. That's it. And you know, Trump supporters will be labeled the unwashed masses of psycho trailer park trash. And that's it, I guess. Well, that's what they want us to think. But I think those of us who think for ourselves are going to look at this and go, you know, it's not okay. It sucks. What's weird is that I was listening to some of the Congress people after they came back tonight, and they were acknowledging that there are discrepancies, and that that's up to the states. If there are cooler heads than mine in this, it's that the states should have taken care of this. And then you come back to they knew it. They knew it was crap. They knew, you know, and when I say they, you know, who knows? I mean, not who knows. The people in the GOP, people in the DNC, they don't like Trump. You know, we know that. It's amazing still there's still people that don't get this. I mean, they don't like Trump. And so, yeah, anyway, so cooler heads were saying, you know, this is up to the states. And if I try to step back and think about it, I think, yeah, I mean, the states ultimately should have decided this. If they didn't, it's because they're corrupt too, you know, and they are. I followed this, and people are saying, oh, the courts examined these things in 60 cases. They didn't examine it. They just rejected it immediately. And you could say, well, that's good enough. And it looks like, I mean, it looks to me like the judges just didn't want to deal with it, and they maybe they have a point. It's up to the legislature to decide if the voting process is legal. It's up to the people to vote for for representatives that are honest and create an honest election system. And like Rand Paul said, it's not up to the Senate or the Congress to reject the power of these states. The states should have done it. But they didn't. And, you know, the people, the never-Trumpers and the liberals, they just believe the mainstream media, and they're like, well, it was all great, it was a wonderful election, the most honest election ever. But if you listen to these hearings, there's 1,000+ affidavits. I guess they're all lying. Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, he's lying. Somebody needs to take the dog out. I took him out earlier. Anyway. Life goes on, right? So, anyway, you know, now they've vilified or torn apart Rudy Giuliani. Now they say he's a buffoon. When I remember him being on Saturday Night Live after 9/11 and Paul Simon coming out singing The Boxer with Rudy just standing there. No Art Garfunkel, just Rudy standing there, and he got Paul Simon to play The Boxer. Now, obviously, for Rudy. This guy, mayor of New York City, he prosecuted mafia people. Obviously, he's confident. Turned New York around, did what had to be done. People criticized what he did, but it made the streets safe. Rudy is why Times Square became a place where middle-class Americans from Kansas can feel safe. Supposedly, they thought they could feel safe visiting. He made New York fun again, along with Donald Trump. And they praised him, and he went through 9/11. But now we're supposed to believe he's just a buffoon. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I listened to him present all these witnesses, and they're all lying. They're all lying. Why did they board up the windows? I've never heard anyone explain that. Why did they board up the windows? Why is it okay that they lied about a leak in the bathroom? Why would they even say that at all? Why is it okay for, 400,000 ballots to come in the middle of the night? What about the truck? Well, they say in the courts looked at all this and rejected. The courts didn't look at any of it. The courts never examined any of it. The judges just didn't want to deal with it. Which I can understand, because really it is probably up to the state legislatures to deal with it, but a lot of them didn't, and they wouldn't reconvene. But anyway, Rand Paul pointed out this should have been dealt with already. And that's where you get back to the kind of grand conspiracy or the grand omission, dereliction of duty, whatever. They knew that these mail-in ballots were a bad idea, and we didn't do anything about it. The GOP didn't do anything about it.
You're supposed to bring the dog out. Also, somebody needs to empty the trash in the kitchen.
Well, again, Ashley Babbitt, I can't believe a veteran was killed, and I was listening to a bunch of sniveling congresspeople talk about this terrible injustice that they just experienced with the unwashed masses daring to enter their holy, halls of super duperness, Oh, what a travesty. It's a good thing they shot that woman who was unarmed because, she was entering their sacred area. She might have had COVID too, so. And now all this is normal. Well, I can tell you, the world I grew up in just, 25 years ago, before 9/11, it would not have been normal to shoot that woman. Now it is. Because now they've got the excuse of, well, she could be a terrorist. She might have a gun. She might have COVID. You're not supposed to come in here until you've gone through 7 x-ray machines and the NSA's, analyzed you properly, and Wolf Blitzer feels okay with it. Oh, she's shot. Oh, well. And they just spent a year telling us how terrible it is when police just shoot people. Why is she any different? What did she do? She wasn't armed. She just, stuff can be replaced. She went into Congress. They used to let people into Congress. They used to let people view into the viewing area. But I guess she deserved to be shot. And, also, you can't have a gun, but the Congress people are protected by men with guns. Isn't that nice? But you can't have one. They don't want you to have one. You're just a lowly plebeian. Just shut up, peasant. Do your work. Send us your tax money. And don't come anywhere near us or we'll shoot you. That's what the That's what Congress just did.
Oh, that's me.
What?
Wolf.
Yeah. Is Wolf in here?
I don't know.
This game is Sparkle Unleashed. I have finished it on the normal level, and I've unlocked all of the...
Are you doing like a harder level now?
No.
Just doing it again.
Just going through again with all of the power-ups.
That's cool.
I might go on hard level again, maybe after this, if I do this.
Yeah.